This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
Hello, big one. Welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Weekend Podcast. Yes, this is where we hope to line your pockets of silver, and certainly the racing is living up to expectations for once this weekend. Some tremendous national hunt action at Cheltenham and Doncaster with the Riverdon and Skybet Chase, and the Unibet sponsored meeting at Cheltenham is certainly really competitive fare. And we're a man down tonight. Nevender had a power cut. He was due to be the fourth wheel, but sadly he could not make it due to that. But still, there's me, John, and joining us is our national judge of judges, Chris Gartner. Good evening, Chris.
Evening, Lee. Evening, John.
Evening, John. Yep, of course.
Evening,
Not forgetting
everyone.
you, John. Yeah. And so hopefully we'll be able to get some good bets out for punters this weekend, and certainly some good opinion on what is, I would say, one of the most competitive.
Tell you what I'm taking as a good sign tonight, Lee.
Go on.
It's still daylight when we're recording.
That is obviously a plus sign for looking forward to the Lincoln meeting, which of course hashtag the road to Doncaster.
I'm on the wrong show here, aren't I?
We'd sneak that in. Yeah, we'd probably do a Lincoln preview while everyone's getting excited for the festival.
Can't wait.
In the weeks ahead. Exactly. The Green Bays. Without further ado, let's get on to the best bets round. And this is the rounds you always look forward to because, of course, I'm sure some of you may follow our selections if you like them. And if you don't, you'll be laying them on the machine. Chris Gartner, kick us off with your 1 point bet, please.
Yeah, that's a win-win, isn't it, Lee? Especially at the moment. I'm off to the Timeform Novices Handicap Chase at 12:40 at Cheltenham, which generally is a really good race, actually. And I think this year's, I think all the races are crackers, aren't they? As I'm sure John will talk about. Theatre Man for Bandy here. They put him over 3 miles the last couple of times at Newbury. I thought it was a good solid start on his first day. He was behind Inch House, who's a solid yardstick for the novices there. I mean, Inch House, you'd say, would play a part in the festival races there. He's already gone up to 137 there. This one, I think, has been probably getting away with it over further. I think the drop-in trip's a smart move for him. I think particularly on the new course, which I don't think he's been quite staying, the 3 miles at Newbury, which is a bit of a contradiction, but they drop him down to 2-4. But I do think you need a horse that will stay a little bit further on this course. So I do think as well he'd appreciate better grounds. I thought he did well on soft ground. He was only really headed at the last by a nickel horse, Brave Kingdom, which I think potentially could be another good one. And then the second, Pulling Stumps, who I backed at Chepstow the other day, did well from the front there before falling as well. So Theatre Man, he gets a lot of weight from Genie's Destiny. I think Genie's Destiny there is probably a better on soft ground, I'd say. He's been getting away with it, not getting away with it, but certainly the smaller fields, I think there's going to be a bit of pace up top. And I think Bannister can just sit off them as well and get his head in front for the first time.
I think Bannister will be pretty positive, though, like dropping in trip. They usually think like that, don't they, Connections? We're dropping half a mile in trip. I agree with you. I don't think he'll necessarily lead, but he'll definitely be tracking the pace at worst, which I think you might get a nice trip there, Chris, with Theatre Man in the race. And I like your case. That's 13-2 available for your very self. That's with Denise and Billy Mountains. Good start, 1 point win. Okay, I'll try and match that with a good case in the 115, which is the big 2.5 mile handicap chase, the sort of premier handicap of the day, if you like. And I'm very keen on the Jamie Snowden runner Garlaw at 9-1 generally available. I think this has been slightly overlooked, and I'm not sure quite why that this isn't shorter. The reason I say this is because if you watch the Hennessy run back, it was a really good run. It was still right there about the second last. It just doesn't get 3.25 mile. It's simple as. And Off a mark of 150, I think this has still got leeway. When you consider that he fell in the sky bet at the last, again, just probably losing the battle at the last, but he was right there at the last 3 in a line with Cooper's Cross and Captain Ord.
Brought off this mark as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, right off this mark. I don't think this is a vintage contest. We'll talk about this in more detail later on. We can go through all the runners later on. But I think this is a very good bet at 9-1. And I think he's coming here in very good form. The Hennessy run was a great prep. So 1 point win at 9-1, Garlaw. John.
I'm off to Fairy House.
Okay.
The 325. Time for tea. This, to me, has been campaigned like a handicap project, but I don't think he's actually managed to get completely under the radar. I think the Vokes are onto him a little bit, hence the fact this is only a 1-pointer. Look to me like distances in excess of 2 miles is what's required, so I think this trip's going to be okay. The worry with me, as usual, it's a mare, might be a bit on the soft side, so just a 1-point win.
I like the fact they're stepping up in trip with her straight away. I think
Yeah.
2 mile is absolutely no good to this mare, and I've got that in my notes that she does want further. Obviously, you're guessing whether certain things are D-days with these handicap plot jobs, but John, I do like your case there. So odds-wise, 325 at Fairy House. No prices are up at the moment. What would you like to do? Would you like to go Betfair SP or fair overnight price?
I'll take a fair overnight price, I think.
Okay,
I don't think it's a really deep race.
That's what we'll do then. We shall give you a fair overnight price for your 1-pointer. 2-point round. Okay, we'll swivel it back round. So I'll kick us off. We go to Doncaster for the River Don. And I am very confident. This most weeks would have been a 3-pointer on Welcome to Cartrice. 5-2 generally available. This reminds me of the Yards runner Stay Away Fair. Very similar in types in that over a trip, this will just keep going and going. In fact, for 2 cracks after the last at Ascot last time, he was favourite. But for 2 cracks, he suddenly just stretched clear. And I think there is a bit of laziness about him, but I like the way they've handled him. When he was beat at Ascot the time before, Cobden was very lenient on him. He didn't really get stuck into him, as if like still a bit of a baby, this one. So he just like nudged him, and he got done on the line by a good yardstick and beat the Bat, who obviously went on to finish second to Dysart Enos, who is obviously second favourite for the Mare's Novice. I'm saying that this is significantly better form than anything in the race, will improve for the trip. The jockey's the only negative. I'm not really a massive fan of Locum Williams, but we have to take it on a busy day's racing where Cobden can't ride. So 5-2, 2 points win. Welcome to Cartrice. John.
I'm off to Southall, 6:15. Kevin Ryan's Navarro. Now, he ran 2 on the night that this made debut, and the other one won last night. Now, I thought this looked a much nicer type, both physically and mentally. He didn't finish as close as the subsequent winner did. I think that one was second. But he impressed me very much with the way he conducted himself pre-race. It was like an L shape going into the boxes and everything. He just never turned a hair. As I say, I was much more taken than this one. The Fairy Horse, I'm not terribly keen on it. I think the Ryan selection, Navarro, the dam's thrown much better stock generally. And there's every reason to think this can go on in mid to high 80s later on, I would have thought. I think 75 plus will go tomorrow.
Yeah, except it's not Southall. You're off to Newcastle tomorrow, mate.
Newcastle, sorry.
I know, we've got a few Southalls this week. Easily done with the
Southall even open.
I think it was because he debuted at Southall.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah, I understand. 7-2 for John. Navarro, I agree with him physically, because I backed it on debut just on looks. I was watching him behind the stalls. I just caught a glimpse of him behind the stalls.
He's all right, isn't he? He's got a bit of length to him.
Yeah, Ryan will be keen to do it for Shakerbade, because obviously Ryan will want plenty of Shakerbade ammo now that he seems to be favouring Carl Burke and the North over certain Newmarket trainers. Watch that space there. So Kevin Ryan will be keen to get that on the board. No messing about with Navarro. Good stuff. John, Chris, finish the round.
Cotswold's Chase, and I'm going to give a chance to the Whacker here. I think this lad's cup final. This is his Gold Cup, isn't it? Let's face it. Not sure what they're doing in the King George. He's just not going to like that, is he? Held up out the back. Not for me. Comes back in onto the trip and the track that he just loves. I think he will put it up to Ahoy Signor, who I think we'll find out. It'll be interesting with McQueen on and not Fox on, because I think we'll find out if it's the horse, if it's the jockey, or vice versa on Ahoy Signor. I think Ahoy Signor, if he doesn't get that lead, then his jump is going to be under pressure, isn't it? I think
Mull Queens are not a good jockey.
I can't see it working personally, but fair play to Pumpkin. He's been aggressive, but wow, 11. What stay away Faye 11-4, and could make idiots of all of us, couldn't he? But he will not have gone the pace that this is going to go at. This is going to go at a graded pace, and this is stepping out of novice company. I can't remember the last novice. I can't find a novice that's done that. I think you'll have bigger targets in mind. I think if he's hitting that flat spot with that pace, I think they might mind him. Bit like Stage Star, he'll have other targets as there. Capdano, he's a national horse for me. That's all right, Gino. Yeah, gets the ground. I just think that Hennessy run was remarkable, really, or whatever it's called now. Big field, held up, passing tide horses, cruised into it, gave into it. This is obviously entirely different conditions, isn't it? Smaller field, some real good stayers at the front as well. Royal Pagaille, obviously, Royal Pagaille, it would have been the Peter Marsh as the target, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You could. Look, you can make excuses for his 3 Gold Cups, can't you? Of course you can. But and it was interesting. His head lad actually was saying, "Well, no, it's not about the ground. It's about the track." So, he's on a different track, different conditions. I just think that if Real Whacker and Sam can get him into a real groove, he's going to take some stopping. And I just think that third favourite at this moment in time, with the question marks around the others, he'd be the bet for me, really.
Indeed. Take out the nutcase in Ahoy Senor. You've got a Betfair Chase winner, albeit on the wrong track. You've got Hennessy winner, and you've got a horse that won the Brown Advisory, your selection, last season. So, like you said, to be favourite over those as a novice, there's some interesting market moves there, given that Stay Away Faye is rated £16 behind the likes of Royal Pagaille and £12 behind the likes of Real Whacker. Interesting betting forecast, that. And
yeah, you've got to be careful with the numbers, haven't you? You can, you've got to take that at some degree with a pinch of salt. I just think it's the more and without contradicting myself, the fact that you could have the Real Whacker making the pace, Ahoy Signor, that will mean Stay Away Faye and Cobden can sit behind. I just think this is a big step up, isn't it?
It is. Like you said, brave from Nichols and fair play. It's an intriguing contest because Stay Away Faye is very talented in the staying ranks. He does stay extremely well. So it could set up, but Chris's selection 9-2, the Real Whacker, case perfectly made there for his 2-point bet. Max bet round. Get your Trixies ready, folks. I'm going to start you off with John. What's your Max, John?
Well, those that are doing Trixies are going to have to wait till Sunday for the last leg.
Go on.
2 o'clock Doncaster, Champagne Twist. Pauline might have made a mistake trying last time with this. I think probably got £7 more than needed, and hence he's staying in this sort of company rather than going handicapping straight away. But I think the track and trip will suit down to the ground here, and the Henderson horse, that's probably the rival in the betting. I thought it's very fizzy and buzzy, and I don't think that'll get home. And I think that's grounds for supporting Champagne Twist.
Okay. Did you think that Champagne Twist might want a little bit more distance?
It's just on the cusp of where I'd want to be, another couple of furlongs wouldn't have been a bad idea, but I think this is more than far enough for the second trip.
Yeah.
So I'm still pretty confident this should win.
Good stuff. Champagne Twist for Ben Paulin and Ben Jones. Obviously no prices yet. John, do you want fair overnight price or do you want Betfair SP?
I'll take a fair overnight price again.
Okay, Champagne Twist for John, 2 o'clock Sunday. That will end the Trixie for us. So, Chris, what have you got as your max bet?
Have we got the sound effects, or does the budget stretch
yes,
for?
the producer's nodding. The producer's nodding. Yeah, yeah.
Right, it's the River Don, and it's the
Ah,
Welcome to Cartier.
yeah.
I don't think they could believe that Stay Away. And you can have this in the River Don, of course. You look back at some of the winners there and you think, crikey, likes of Ramses de Teller and a few others as well. But I do think that this lad could be something special. I mean, I don't normally back Novices, and I was watching his Ascot run, and the way he stayed on from the last there, that was something. And I went back and watched his point, and again, point form, of course, but I watched his Boris House point where he just blew them away, didn't he? As well for Doyle. He's obviously comes with a big reputation, doesn't he? I actually think Lorcan Williams is riding better this year. I've seen him on some of Jeremy Scott's, and he's had some good rides there, and some decent enough winners there. So, I mean, I know it's the River Don, it's favourite, the old cliche, regarding the Albert Bartlett and Battle Hardened and all the usuals. I just think in this field, I don't think Lorcan Williams will be making the same mistake 2 years on the bounce there. I would say I think Kerry Hill's got a bag of improvement in him. I think that he might be able to turn over that, particularly with the Bailey Yard as it is at the moment. I know they had first flow the other day, but I think he might be able to. So my 3-pointer will be on the Nichols, but I'll also be having a reverse forecasting each way on Kerry Hill. Kerry Hill reminds me of a horse a dad had for Urban Him, who won this good few years ago now. And I just think that they think he could be a bit special. I think he'll enjoy this track as well, by Soldier and Fortune, decent ground. So definitely be having a saver on him, but as a main bet, Nichols.
Lovely. We love a Claxon, and I do think it should be much shorter. I'd be around the 7 or 4 mark with this fella. I think he's all talent, and I think I love the way they handled him. So, and of course, you will have David Bass, like Babe Ruth, on Destroy the Evidence from 3 out. But nevertheless, I think Lorcan can steer this home. Good stuff, Chris. I like it. Okay, to finish us off for the Trixie then, the real boring one from me, because I confess I have had a bad time of late on the podcast where things haven't been going right, and I just don't want another blowout. And the simple reason is, and the logic is in the Unibet hurdle, Lossiemouth at Betfair SP, 3 points to win. I think the books are overreacting overnight, which is kind of annoying. It's what they do. They know that's what everyone wants to back. Love Envoys fell out of love with the game. That's the reason for the bet. Last time out was so moody. She was off the bridle. She didn't want to know. She got herself into contention and then couldn't be asked after the last. And I think she's not missed many dances, Love Envoy. And I think that's the reason why she's probably gone a bit like this, as she can't be asked anymore. And that's the reason she can't afford to do anything like that tomorrow against Lossiemouth, who really should be winning this tomorrow. So yeah, that's the 3 points win, and they're around the banker for me of the weekend. So hopefully there'll be a reasonable exchange starting price for Lossiemouth. And I apologise for the boring selection, but I'm absolutely desperate not to have another blowout, which is kind of hampering me in the conquest to being Jumps Naps King. Right, fantastic selections, gentlemen, and of course, well reasoned. We move on to the TV previews, so we can comment on horses that punters might fancy and steer them in the right direction. We'll start with Doncaster first, and it's the 205 race at Doncaster. It's the Rose Mares Hurdle, a Grade 2 affair, and Ashro Diamond is 11-8 favourite from Gala Marceau at 2-1. I'm quite surprised that there's that much difference between these two. I think these are both very good mares, and I actually sort of nearly prefer the Kenny Alexander own one. Any thoughts?
I can't wait for them to have a little post to do. Who's passing who?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, don't come up my inside, says Paddy.
Family fallout there.
Yeah, Paddy to Danny.
The most interesting one's the Gala Massou, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, she's to say she's keen's an understatement, isn't it? But I'm talking about French form like I know it, apart from watching it. But I thought that was quite impressive at Ortel. I thought she settled a little bit better there as well. Yeah, I don't think there's much difference between the two, but she's the most fascinating one, isn't she?
Definitely. That's the one I wanted to be with. And I thought they'd be a lot closer. Ashra Diamond, for me, yes, she has got some good form, without a doubt. She's not missed a dance behind Marine Nationale. She beat Jatara. It looked like a float up last time at Fairy House, which it was. And I get why she's fav, but I'd just have them nearly disputing. I don't think there's that much between them at all. It's like whoever turns up on the day.
I mean, if you're that keen on Lossiemouth as well, there's a line there, isn't there?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, if we talked about the international there. If I mean, she was 2 lengths behind Lossiemouth in the Triumph there. So,
yeah.
And that was the first time I think she wore a hood as well. I think Punchestown as well, probably. I don't know. She might have had enough by then. But one of the things that under control as well will be, I think, as an aside, I just wonder whether, obviously with connections, whether they've got something in mind, one of the county or something there, possibly. I know the Mayor's Hurdle, but maybe they might have a cap in it. It'd be interesting to see how she breathes, because she just stopped last time, didn't she?
That's it with her. It's whether the breathing holds out. There's plenty of breathing operations with her. Like you say, with connections, you just think, are they thinking about something else rather than this? But who knows? We don't know. John, anything to add to what me and Chris have said?
Yeah, it's amazing. I'll leave it alone.
Let the dog in some terrain and some
Definitely.
some favourable terrain and
spread it on thick.
Absolutely. Right, 2:40 we go to the River Don, where me and Chris have already made the case for welcome to Cartrice and obviously destroy the evidence. David Bass batting away like Babe Ruth on that one. John, anything to sort of add to what me and Chris have said about this?
I think you probably bang on, to be fair. If I had to offer up an alternative, I'd maybe say Ranges from stacks up okay as an each way chance, but I couldn't really go against your selection there.
Range for Sam Thomas, yep.
I thought he might want a bit. He looked really like he loved that at Chepstow, didn't he? That
the deep ground, yeah.
I wonder whether he's wants a bit more cut in it, really, and might find this just a bit too quick for him,
Still love a Shantou, though. If ever I see a talented Shantou, I always like to follow him, because I think he's a brilliant national hunt sire. Can be quirky, but very talented also. Okay, we'll move on to the final race at Doncaster, which is the Sky Bet over 3 miles. And this is a very competitive affair. I felt that the favourite, Famous Bridge, I'm quite surprised, Chris, that Cotton Wool Nicky didn't put this one in. Well, he has put it in the 3.5 miler at Haydock. I thought that's his race rather than the 3 mile here.
Well, it would have been the Peter Marsh, wouldn't it? Again,
yeah,
I would have thought. Yeah, so I mean, he wouldn't have been trained for this, would he? It would have been second option, I would have thought. I mean, he is a battler. I mean, he loves it. I mean, he eyeballed that. I backed him last time, and I didn't. I was worried actually. I thought Sue's mare had him under Nick really there. But to be fair to me, duck it out in the last bit, didn't he? But I just longer Donny Stray. I think he enjoyed that ground as well. A real battle on soft Haydock ground. Then you'd want to take him on, wouldn't you?
I think so. I never thought he'd turn up here, but there we go. Then you've got Captain Ord, Christian Williams. That yard needs a winner, doesn't it?
Oh, fumigate.
I backed one the other day at Sedgefield there, the one that wasn't travelling after about the first fence. Turn the telly off.
They are struggling at the moment. It's difficult to sort of fancy that. Sweet Will, the Irish raider out at Mullins, apparently has been, according to my mole, has been targeted for this race, but being 7-2 and 4-1 last twice and got there and had its chance, went 3s on, went evens in running and couldn't get the job done. What we're saying about Sweet Will?
Pretty much what you say there.
Yeah.
And been able to get the job done thus far. stiffer race.
Yeah.
He's never having a long shot anymore, old Emmett, is he? Jesus.
Oh,
You just see his name and people put it. I mean, a Dragon Pulse winning the old Great Yorkshire handicap chase. Crazy profile, really, hasn't he? I mean, crazy trainer, isn't he? So,
all the National Hunt stalwarts in trench coats and time form annuals of the past. They'll be absolutely just turning off the game if a Dragon
we're getting
Pulse
Andy Richmond's books out, won't they?
wins
Marking it off.
the Sky Bet. Yeah, we can't have that. Forward Plan, I think, is a lovely horse. Really does try. The fences were out last time for the win at Doncaster, but still, I think that was a negative because I think this horse is usually a rather good jumper. What do we think to Forward Plan?
Yeah, so one of the lads I'm in the National Club Hunt Syndicate owns Forward Plan, Andy. So they were obviously delighted last time when he got the job done from the proverbial indisputed equine wanker that is Mr. Cole. You know what? I have to say though, I can't believe that. I can't believe Nicky's finally realised that this lad might need some headgear.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
And so I was having a look last night. 4 of the last 10 winners wore some sort of. We're bordering on John's SMM festival here, aren't we? Like again, but they won. They wore pieces and blinkers for the first time.
Yeah.
Cooper's Cross last year, Windsor Avenue for our man Brian Ellison. Stuck the blinkers on, so you couldn't, could you? But you never know. He weren't far off last time. The one that I was interested, and it could be a redemption for Lorcan, couldn't it? Here, the one Candow Kid's been screaming out for 3 miles, has he not? No,
I think so. Yeah. I think he could be a big improver. He's always found plenty at 2.5, and they ran him in graded cup last time at Ascot. Why wouldn't you though? 4 runners, may as well have a go. I never thought 18 furlongs at Ascot round a tight shithole like that.
Yeah.
Suit Candow Kid. So I agree with you, Chris. I think he could improve enormously.
I wonder whether he's minded him last time, Pumpkin there, and then kept him fit for this. 3 miles, good ground.
Trouble with Pumpkin, it's flow jab month, isn't it?
Well, he can't have done the jab. Surely he has a big weekend and then puts his feet up and goes to Bermuda or Barbados or wherever he goes, with the Mason crowd, The only other one,
Sandy Lane.
Yeah, well, we've all been there, haven't we? In our dreams. Maybe not with Pumpkin, but I'll tell you what, wouldn't be funny if everyone backs Captain Ord and Strictly Dancer goes in.
Well,
they stick the women's tights on him. I thought his run at Kempton there was eye-catching off for a long, long time, but he'll love the grounds. He stays. 10-year-olds haven't a bad record in this either. Not the worst. I mean, look, I know yard form, but you never know with that yard, do you? And it would I mean, Captain Ord's had 3 goes at this, hasn't he? I know he went close last year, but he's had 3 goes. He's 11. He's out handicap, so be a bit funny if Strictly a Dancer went in.
One at a bigger price. I think this is too big on the machine anyway. Earn River. Did you see? I mean, the horse is definitely very quirky. Did you see it travelling absolutely all over its rival?
Yeah.
3 out. Obviously, yes. It got wankerish on the running, didn't it? But he likes Doncaster. Did you know at Doncaster, he's had 4 runs at Doncaster. First, second, first.
I just wonder how many times you can pull the old. I thought the pieces worked last time there. And, I think he's a bit of a cute horse. I wonder whether he'd have these are on again, whether he'd replicate that again. But yeah, no, he loves it. He loves it there, doesn't he? So, yeah. My 2 would be Candow Kid and Strictly a Dancer.
Fair play at prices from Chris there. John, love to know your thoughts on the good old Great Yorkshire chase.
I had a bet in this on Tuesday.
Lovely.
I backed Annual Invictus.
Oh, yeah, the Chris Gordon horse.
This is a good ground-preferring horse who goes handy forward, if you like. That can suit down there. I think there's 3 of the last 10 have made all in the Great Yorkshire Chase. He had a nice spin round clumped and over hurdles to preserve the mark and put him straight for this. And funnily enough, he's won twice on his second start. So he really ought to be absolutely blob on his best for this. And I think a few of these have been winning on slop, the ones with recent winning form, and this quicker ground will be quite a bit different for him. He's made all round Newbury over 3 miles, so stamina shouldn't be an issue. And that was off a £2 higher mark, so I think he's also well handicapped. I took 20 to 1 with Corals 5 places.
Interesting. Chris Gordon,
Couldn't tip it because the price is gone. Otherwise, I would have put it in one of me.
one of your bets. Yeah.
Hmm.
Nice to know. Right, that covers Doncaster. Over to Cheltenham for their action on the Saturday, where it is the 150, the Paddy Power Cheltenham Countdown Podcast Handicap Chase, where I have tipped Garlaw. Chris, what are we saying about Garlaw's chance? What do you think?
Yeah, I'll be back in two in the race. I'll be back in Victorino and Garlaw. Il Redito, you just got to believe it. It's whether you believe he can run to 150 plus off 11.6. Might well do. You know, he's only 7. He looks a different animal. Actually, he looks more mature. I think Victorino for win. I backed him the last twice there. I think you could be potentially talking about a graded animal in him. I know he didn't win by an awful lot, and Yeeman was coming for him at Ascot, and he'd gone up 5 for that. Obviously, it's a different track and trip. I wouldn't be bothered about the drop-in trip. I think we've talked about the new course before. I think you need a little bit a horse that stays that or can stay potentially that little bit further. Garlaw, I think I don't know. I fancy him for the Great Yorkshire last season and Sky Bet as it was known then. You could argue maybe that I don't think he's a 3-miler, to be honest. He's not a stayer for me. These are his conditions, aren't they? Good grounds, 2-4, new course. I just think that they've been building his confidence back up. I think he didn't run all that bad in the Ryanair. I know he was behind Hitman there, but I thought they really sort of held on to him that day. I didn't think there was. I mean, he was 40-1. There wasn't any expectation that day. I think they just wanted to get there. Obviously, flopped at Aintree, and I think his run at the Bowl sort of confirmed to them. And surprising that they went the Hennessy again. In all honesty, I didn't really see that. But I think ever since he didn't get home in the Hennessy, that they thought, right, where's the next one? And I think this looks it good. I still think he's a genuine 150 horse. So these are his conditions. I'd expect a big run from him.
Hitman, for example, bit of an enigma because he's a known bleeder. He's kept the top company, but let's be fair, the last run at Aintree was just, how can you back him off back of that?
No, and I think Nichols has said that he's not listened to something today, and he said he's not had him. I think he wanted a couple of more weeks working with him. I mean, that was desperate. The Marsh chase wasn't a great deal better, was it?
No,
didn't beat anything. So you're not even Ryanair was obviously decent enough to some extent, but
it's just interesting to see him 8.6 on the machine, and his last 2 starts, he's beaten one runner and got beaten 176.5 lengths. Come racing.
He's got another target as well. I'd imagine that this isn't his day. I think he's a type of horse that is always going to be sub-10s because people think he's going to pop up one day. But he just looks a bit tripless to me as well.
Yeah,
I don't know what his trip is really. So no, and I'm not a massive. I know I'm not a massive fan of the Claimer. To be fair,
another strong opinion I've got in this is ex-Cello and Nicky Henderson's decent French chaser. Beat the wrong one for me last time because I think this is like idiot placing from. It beat a horse rated 149 in Solo, which we know Solo is a very questionable 149 horse. And so they've put ex-Cello up probably a good £13 more than what he would have been off had it not ran there. So why is that 7.8?
What was it? What was Nicky? I mean, what was it? 1:15 in the afternoon? Wouldn't have been. I don't know. Is that too early to get on it? Or
no. On your cornflakes.
Lovely morning.
Lovely.
He's nice there.
What do they expect to happen? He's going to get lobbed up, isn't he? I mean, he's got a bit of chase form, obviously, in France, but I can't remember the last 5-year-old to win the old Premierisation handicap,
Premierisation handicap. John, have you anything to sort of interject into this? What are we missing here?
You're not missing anything. I mean, I like Garlaw. I think 150 was what he ran off in the Great Yorkshire last year. I'm pleased he's come for this rather than trying to make amends around Donny, because I think he likes it round here at 2.5.
Yeah.
Last time out, he looked fitter than he did for debut. He should be fitter still for this. Il Redito might miss Frosty the Warman because she gave it a belter last time.
She did.
Yeah, I like Yellow. I couldn't put anybody off that.
Just a question about Bryony. Why is Bryony not on anything of like Nichols today, given that she's official second jockey? Is she banned or am I missing something?
No idea.
No, we're looking after Froden at home.
Yeah, but that could be it.
I just thought like kind of weird that I expected to see her on something.
Maybe Froden wants his tea at 3 o'clock.
Do you think it's fair that Bryony jocked off Ilrodota?
Well, stable jockey should be on, really.
Yeah, I know that he's like the 1 and 2. I know what you're saying.
I just we get so fucking sensitive about these rides. They're professional jockeys, aren't they? You know, I mean,
Yeah,
just not. You know, whoever rides it. As John says, 56 grand handicap. Get your best jockey. I mean, he's the best jockey, isn't he? How he got Pipes to win the other day, King.
I agree.
I mean, that was incredible because I mean, he was packing it in after the first circuit, wasn't he? That King of the West. So
Yeah, King of the West is like terrible off the bridle, as we know. And like you said, Chris, he's numero uno, even though probably Bryony, I think, gave that horse the best ride it's probably ever had. It's just the game. That's how it is. You have a number 1 and number 2 for a reason. Okay, we move on to the 150, which is the Cotswold. And this is a fantastic race. This, for me, is a gin and pate race. And it's one to savour. I'm an old-fashioned chap that used to love Desert Orchid, Yahoo. Well, not so much Yahoo. Panto Prince. Little Cavy's Clown carrying 12 stone up the Cheltenham Hill. About 13 hands was Cavy's
Was that
Clown.
the one with the ears?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cavy's Clown. I remember all this. Your great days. 10 plus.
Exotic Dancer for me. That was a P1, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
Bob Ogden.
Yeah, Bob Ogden.
Artie Knight.
I remember Bob Ogden with one. Edelweiss de Moulin.
Right.
Do you remember that one? Anyway, reminiscing. The Cotswold Chase. This is certainly one to savour. Chris made a cracking case, really, for the real whacker. And I agree with him. This will be his derby, his Gold Cup. They must know in the heart of hearts they're not going to win a Gold Cup. It's a case of, right, this is it. This is it, boys. Bounce this out. Hopefully, Ahoy Senor will start jumping right and chuck Mull Queen off on the cross-country course somewhere. It all goes to plan for the real whacker on the front end. Interesting what Chris said about Royal Pagaille and the head lad saying about Cheltenham's just not its track. Interesting comments. Stay away for the Novice. I think this is very overbet to be favourite. John, I'm coming to you first. Do you agree that Stay Away Fair's price is far too short?
I think there's several of these one taking on, really, and Stay Away Fair's one of them. You won't be surprised to know I fancy Capodanno. I fancied him last Sunday when he was taken out that race with the temperature. He's missed a day, so what? Willie Mullins has always said this will be better on this type of ground. And this is probably the first chance he's had at this sort of trip and company on grounded lake where there's going to be an even pace. And I mean, at one point Mullins thought this might develop into a Gold Cup horse. I think he's got a hell of a chance here tomorrow. I will be backing him.
Do you think, though, Chris has mentioned that this might be sort of just a spin up for a national mark?
He doesn't stay.
Do you think he stays? No.
I don't think he got home last year.
No, I agree.
Right.
I couldn't. My problem with him is that I think they're going to go a clip here, aren't they?
Usually, when he belts them, Chris, it's when they're messing about and crawling out and things. The rhythm, he's not bad.
I just wonder whether it might get away from him. I'm just thinking out there. I think the real whacker, if he can get Ahoy Senior away from him, if he can get the pace on.
I was encouraged in the National last year because he seemed as though they could put him where they wanted him. He sat Andy most of the way in the National. Seemed to be travelling all right. I think he has got pace. He ran all right 2.5 a couple of times back. I mean, he's not a gimme or anything like that. I just think he's valuable against some opposable horses.
I do like Chris's case the best. I think he's right that they're going to turn up here. This is the one. I like Chris's for that reason, but it is a cracker bruschetta, maybe. A bit of bruschetta out tomorrow. With a bit of tuna mayo mixed in with the chopped tomato.
Olives on the side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chopped herring.
Bit of chopped herring. Yeah, that's a winner.
Terrine on the go.
The producer loves chopped herring. It's an absolute winner. She's nodding her head right now. that could be the case. Right, the 225 is the Clarence House Chase, obviously rerouted from Ascot last week, and it looks a straightforward task for the old Popeye runner John Bon. But as someone pointed out to me today via a DM, said, would you be in any way worried about Popeye's yard form?
Yeah, not in this instance.
Chris, what do we think about trainer form? Is it overrated? Should anyone be that bothered about whether
I'm there, unless there's a genuine reason for it. Herpes.
Yeah, I'm going to say,
You
is
know.
it just random? Like when you're punting, you're going to have really bad spells where you don't back a winner for weeks. You sat there going, yeah, this'll win, that'll win. And no, fall at last. Oh dear, no.
I think a lot of it as well, it depends on the horses, right? So I've got a theory about Chris Gordon's yard. I think he had a loads of really good, nicely on marks horses last year. And because he got a lot of wins out of them, he's now in bad form, or has been. It hasn't had as many winners, that. It wouldn't be something that I'd. It wouldn't put me if I really fancied one. I wouldn't. Well, look at. I mean, for the example, the last weekend, wasn't it? What Bailey? Everyone was banging on about Bailey, and then he gets a 12-year-old first flow winner. So what?
He didn't want to set off.
Well, the less said about Nuno and Saint Segal, the better. But yeah, it wouldn't. It never put me off. You can have some yards that are a genuine reason, like Lavelle start of the season. All of us were going in, weren't they? She had a genuine problem with her feed. Yeah.
Just going back to that race last weekend where you mentioned Saint Segal.
Yeah. Thanks, Lee.
No, you were right. Yours was we clashed with King of PRs. And yours really, I think, should have won. We know that. But the King of PRs, I think the ground went against it. It was good to soft, and I think he's better on deep. And the form's starting to work out quite well. And I reckon that's it's obviously a good race, but I think the King of PRs is worth following on deep ground still. I wasn't happy that it was riding. The times were like good ground times, because obviously being under the covers. I think the King of PRs was always out of his comfort zone against those. And I think he's not one to give up on deeper ground like it was at Limerick at Christmas. Anyway, back to Clarence House. So John Bon, I think he's a different horse this year. I think the gap between him and El Fabiolo is going to be a lot closer come festival time. That's my view. Straightforward for him, Chris, John?
I think you're trying to be cute, aren't you, if you're trying to have an angle. The only thing I'd be interested in is if they can get Newbury Negra's mark down a bit more. People are saying he might run well, and I'm thinking, I reckon they want £4 here.
Yeah, they might be thinking Grand Annual or something.
Might well be.
John?
I don't know, he does it, keeps getting these laps of honour for his horses on the road to Cheltenham.
Yeah, he seems to find the spots for him, doesn't he, where they're always turned up at 3 on and 6 on. But then, is that because he doesn't run them when he knows...
Yeah.
I bet he blames Wicked Willie for this day for ruining Shishkin with the battle with Energamine at Ascot. I reckon he knows deep down he can't take on Wicked Willie in prep races because...
I'm at a point now I want all of these to get stuffed at Cheltenham.
Turned over.
I know. I mean, Constitution and all the rest of it. He could be one of the greats. I don't give a fuck. I want him stuffed.
Can't do much with a bad scope, can you?
Yeah, and that's
been absolute arseholes, haven't they? Let's be fair.
And
he's going to go chasing if he scores, all right, and all this shit.
Yeah.
You see him about as often as Ali's comic.
I've always wanted John to write for the Racing Person Sporting Life because this is the kind of thing you get. And it's like, I can imagine John being the Northern Scout. Do you remember him, John, in the Sporting Life? Right. John, on a quiet day where there's not much to report on the Northern runners, would probably just say, well, it'd be nice if Constitutional gets stuff, wouldn't it?
And leave it at that.
That's his column.
Editor's got, we need a bit more. Anything more? Or no?
Yeah, John Dunn gets stuffed as well.
The 3 o'clock, it's the Unibet Hurdle, of course. It's Lossiemouth. The great nap for Keys, hopefully to plug the hole in his repeated blowouts on the podcast. Right. So are we saying that we like Lossiemouth to win this, hopefully?
For me, yeah, absolutely. I really like her.
Yeah,
I think, you give it, the juvenile, shouldn't look like a typical juvenile for me. I really like Great Pretenders. I know, and I just think she could be, I mean, he's already speaking about long-term champion hurdle, isn't he? I think she could be a bit special, to be honest with you. I didn't like that one bit from Love Envoy at Sandown. I didn't like the interviews after, to be honest with you. I think sometimes they can turn a bit sour, can't they, mares? I wonder whether she just, at 8 now as well, I think this is going to be sharp enough for her on drying ground as well. Rhubarb or rhubarb or rhubarb fucking custard or whatever with a pumpkin. He's going to go off in front. I wouldn't be surprised if they've got a Wincanton. I think there's a race at Wincanton they've probably got. I think they're just coming in here because they've seen it. 5 runners, decent prize money there. Go off in front. Lossiemouth nicks him, goes on. I think the other 2, First Street, Guard Your Dreams, they'll be minded for handicaps, really.
Yeah, John, what's your view on this? Love Envoy.
I'm hoping that God Lossiemouth wins, because if you remember the podcast, I think it was the week before last, somebody asked for a treble for Cheltenham, and I picked mine out, and then I said, well, I've had to have the fucking bet now. The question was, if you had a £100 treble, somebody gave £100 treble, what would you put in? So I put them in, and I seen what it would pay. I thought, fucking hell, I have to have the bet now. And Lossiemouth was one of them. I hope she pisses up.
I think she's a fair price for the Mare's Hurdle at 2-1. And with Hills, you can get Knob Runner No Bet as well with that. So I think 2-1's fair Knob Runner No Bet. If she turns up at Mare's Hurdle, she'll be 11-10 on the machine.
Yeah.
So 2-1's very fair with your money back. 3:35, the Cleeve Hurdle. This race for me is not a betting contest. These guys don't miss a down. Strachel Dasher, Paisley Park, Noble Yates, Chump, Bertox has. I've always got a lot of time for Strong Leader, but he's not up to this. Flight Deck's 10 and just not up to this either. But if Paisley Park turns up, I think Paisley Park probably wins. But what do we think?
What if the chasing version of Noble Yates turns up? He'd hammer them, wouldn't he?
Slowly he'd hammer them.
Yeah, so it was 107% at Limerick finishing speed, which basically said they crawled over 2.5 miles. And I thought he acquitted himself quite well. We know what they're prepping him for, so it doesn't really matter what he does here. But it's a kind of thing where Noble Yates, I get the case, but I just think, I don't know. Like I say,
he's rated 10 higher over fences, isn't he?
Noble Yates getting £6 from Paisley Park, it's got to be appealing, hasn't it?
Well, he's on him now, isn't he? 10 next year, obviously.
You always give me that. You absolute swine.
You just sat there relaxed there thinking you weren't getting one.
I mean, they talk about smoking races, don't they? I mean, this is nearly a buy you a pint at the bar race, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
This is I'll take you for a bait to eat race. It'll take that.
Yeah,
John, this isn't a veterans chase. It's a veterans hurdle, John.
Could be a veterans national, couldn't it? Regional.
Let's be fair, we don't like veterans.
So, we got blinkers, we got pieces, we got visors, we got tongue straps on, haven't we? I mean, it's...
You could get a branch of McCoy out, couldn't you?
Femdom with Venetia.
Oh, dear.
And on that note, I think we'll leave it there. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Hopefully it will provide you with silver this weekend. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Patreon and subscribe there as well. £7 is a bargain for John's notes. Chris's notes as well. He's on there and it's just brilliant. For that kind of money, 7 notes, man. Come on. Let's play the game. That's all from us. Bye for now.